Read.
Until he have destroyed thee.
Until he had destroyed thee. And physically we are here. Give me that. Isaiah 46. Physically we are here as a people. I'm looking at my people right here. I am mourning for my people as I'm looking around. We are physically here, but mentally we are destroyed. We are the walking dead. We are walking zombies. All we do is walk around looking for the next high, looking for the next drunk, looking for the next prostitute to sleep with, looking for the next man to lay with. That is the walking dead. We don't have no worth of ourselves. We don't know our own worth. You are the God's chosen people. You are the chosen people of God, and you don't know it. You act like you don't have no worth. Read this. Because like I said, it says it's going to be until you are destroyed. This is how we are destroyed. Read.
The book of Hosea, chapter 4, verse 6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge.
He says, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. We're not, like I said, we're not destroyed physically. We're destroyed because we don't know our worth. We don't know who we are. We lack the knowledge of who we are according to this Bible. What we need to be doing according to this Bible, the way we're supposed to be living. This Bible has the answer to all our problems. This Bible will solve COVID-19. It'll solve STD rates. The Bible is the answer to all of that. But we go to church and we get lied to. You go sit there for 3 hours and you may get 2-3 scriptures. And pastor tell you, pass the collection plate again. I need a new Cadillac. My mortgage, I can't work for COVID-19. You gonna pay my way through it. That's the way that our people are. The black church has taught us how to be comfortable in captivity. It doesn't teach us how to get out. It teaches us how to be comfortable in captivity. And this Bible right here is going to set us free. It says, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Read.
Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee.
And you wonder why we live in these conditions. God said, because we rejected his knowledge, he rejects us. That's why we live in the ghettos. That's why we're at the bottom of society, because the Most High has rejected us. Because we refuse to listen to him. He laid it all out for us and we refused, so he forgot about us because we forgot about him. Read.
That thou shalt be no priest to me.
And he said, thou shalt be no priest to me, because we were the ones giving this word. We're supposed to be teaching all the other nations how to live in subjection under this word. But he said, since you don't want to keep that, you're not going to be a priest to me. I'm not going to have you ruling the earth and you not living by my laws. What's going on, brother? You got any questions?
Who are we as people, man?
Who are we as a people? Give me Deuteronomy 76. Well, we are here today to teach you that you are. What is your father's nationality?
My father is black.
He's black? A so-called Negro. Check the sign out right here. Right here, if he's a so-called American black, you would be from the tribe of Judah. That's a powerful tribe. That's the same tribe that Jesus Christ comes from. You come from the same lineage as Jesus Christ. You know what I'm saying? And so what we are here to do is to teach our people that according to the Bible, we are the Israelites. And what's the important thing about being Israel? Because a lot of people say, well, what's the big deal about being Israel? Watch this. Read this. This is what God thinks about you, brother.
Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 6. For thou art an holy people.
He said, thou art an holy people, a separate people. Out of all the nations of the earth, thou, Israel, you are a holy people. Read.
Unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee.
So he has chosen you. The Most High, you got different pairs of shoes and everything, and then you get up and you go, that's my favorite. I'm going to choose that one. You know what I'm saying? So God says, Israel, I've separated you. I've chosen thee to himself. Read.
Bring it out. The Lord thy God has chosen thee to be a special people unto himself.
So you are a special people above all the other nations. He said, you are a special people to himself. Read.
Above all people.
Above, oh no, he said equal to all people, right?
Above all people.
No, when you go to church, don't pastor say God loves everybody, everybody's equal. But what does the Bible just say? Read that again.
Above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
Out of all the 18 nations on the face of the earth, God says you are above all people on the face of the earth. Give me 28:15. But it's an issue why we are in the condition you're in, because you say, well, if God said I'm special, if God says I'm above all people, why do we live in the conditions that we're in? Why are we at the bottom? Do you know why we live at the bottom?
No, I don't.
Have you been to church? Do you go to church? Or have you ever went to church?
I used to when I was younger, yeah.
Did the preacher ever tell you why we're at the bottom of society?
No, sir.
Never taught you that, right? So, do you think it's in the Bible? The preacher didn't say it. The preacher, a man of God, right? So if he ain't said it, ain't in the Bible, right? It's an issue with that. That's what I'm trying to tell you today. Preacher ain't been teaching us right. Watch this. Deuteronomy 28:15.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15. But it shall come to pass.
Hold on, I'm sorry, brother. Give me verse 1. Because I'm going to show you this right quick. Because God said you are special, we are chosen. So let me show you how we're supposed to be if we special or chosen. This is what we were supposed to do in order to live that way. Watch this.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 1. And it shall come to pass.
That means it's going to happen.
If thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
So he says, if thou shalt hearken or listen diligently, if you listen to what I'm saying carefully, what's going to happen?
To observe to do all his commandments.
So he says you have to observe to do all the commandments. That's how you hearken to the voice of the Lord, by doing all the commandments. Watch this.
Which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations.
Remember Deuteronomy 7:6, he said he made us above all nations. And right here he said, if you keep my commandments, I will set you above all nations, right? Well, go to 15 now. Now this is the flip side of it. This is what we are in society today. Watch this.
Verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
So in verse 1 he says, if you listen, this one, verse 15, he says, if you don't listen to the voice of the Lord thy God,
to observe, to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day.
So he said, if you don't listen to the Lord thy God to do the commandments, because that's, you remember how we said that's how you hearken to the Lord, by doing his commandments. So he said, if you don't do that, what's going to happen?
That all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So he says, all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee, right? So a curse is a good thing or a bad thing? It's a bad thing, right? Would you say that the way that our people are living as a whole is good or bad? It's bad, right? It seems like we are cursed people. Like no matter what we do, we seem to be at the bottom. Martin Luther King marched all through the streets, and here we go at the bottom. You know what I'm saying? And so you asked a good question earlier when you walked up. You said, "How? What people are we? How do we know?" Watch this. Give me verse 68 real quick, because you familiar with how our people got over here to America, right?
Yes, sir.
How do we get over here?
We were sold by our own people to the white man brought over here.
We're gonna get you some of that history on that too. But what mode of transportation did we used to get here? Ships, right? Did you know that was in the Bible?
No.
You didn't, right? Watch this. All them years in church and pastor never told you that you was prophesied in the Bible. Watch this.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, and verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again.
So he said, the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again. So when you think of Egypt, you think of that desert place with the pyramids and all that. But the Most High, Egypt is another word that's synonymous for something. Watch, I'm going to tell you what Egypt means in this situation. Read that.
The book of Exodus, chapter 20, verse 2. I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage.
You see what he called Egypt right there? He called it what? The house of bondage. What does that mean? Slavery, captivity. Watch. Now when you read Deuteronomy 28:68, they take on a new meaning. Watch this.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again.
So you see right there it says Egypt, which means what? House of bondage, right? So he's saying the Lord is going to bring you into slavery again, because you remember at this time they coming out of Egypt. They're going into the promised land from Egypt. So he said, I'm going to take you back. When were we in Egypt? When we were in Egypt, we were slaves, right? So he said, I'm going to put you back in slavery again. How?
With ships.
With ships. How did we get to America? On slave ships, right? So in the Bible he says, I will take you back to slavery again with ships. What other people on the face of the earth went into slavery on ships? Nobody else, but it did happen, right? So the prophecy was fulfilled, and we did come on slave ships. So these are giving you clues as to who we are. You ask who we are, this is how we know who we are according to the Bible. It's not just something we pulled out of thin air. Watch this, keep reading.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again.
So he said, the same way I'm telling you that it's going to happen, you're not going to see the homeland again. You know what I'm saying? He's taking us in. He said, you're not going to see it no more if you break these commandments. Since we got to America, how we went back to Israel, do we even know? We didn't even know we were the Israelites. So have we ever been back home? Have we even been back to West Africa? Once they brought us over here, we've been stuck in America, right? Watch this.
And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies.
And in that land of bondage, you're going to be sold to your enemies. What happened to us after we got off the slave ships? They put us right on the auction blocks, right? Wall Street, the first commodity on Wall Street was us. You know, so he said you're going to be sold into your, in there, read that again.
And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies.
And who he said we're going to be sold to?
Your enemies.
So he said the ones who sell you are your enemies. Who sold us on those slave auction blocks? The so-called white man, right? But what did God call them? He called them your enemies. You know what I'm saying? So we looking around, we try to make friends with them, but God said this is your natural enemy. You know what I'm saying? We look at our brothers as our enemy, but God telling us who our enemy is. The one who sold you is your enemy. Read.
For bondmen and bondwomen.
For slave men and slave women. And what?
And no man shall buy you.
And no man shall buy you. Buy you means save or redeem. So we have Martin Luther King, we have Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X. All these great leaders rose up to try to save our people, but look at our conditions. Did it work? He said, and no man is going to be able to save you until Christ comes back. No man is going to be able to save us, right? And so that's how we know that we're the children of Israel. You know what I'm saying? And you made a statement earlier. I want to get Amos 3 and 6. You said that we sold our own people to the white man, right? That is not right. You know what I'm saying? Because we are black, like if an African wants to walk over here, you'll be able to tell he's an African, right? Like you look at us and you say, okay, those are so-called Negro, but if an African walk up, you'll be able to say, that's an African. So just because we have dark skin, don't mean we're the same people. But the Bible explains it also. Watch this.
Look at Joel, chapter 3, verse 6. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem.
So he says Judah and Jerusalem because in history there was a split on the 12 tribes of Israel. The top 3 right here are considered the southern kingdom of Israel. And the bottom are considered the northern kingdom. So this is considered Judah and this is considered Israel. That's why it says the children of Judah and the children of Israel. That means the whole 12 tribes. Read.
Have ye sold unto the Grecians?
It says, have you sold into the Grecians? Read.
That ye might remove them from their border.
That you may remove them from their borders. Go up a verse.
Verse 4.
Yeah.
Yea, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon?
And so right here, the subject that he's talking about is Tyre and Zidon, which are 2 Hamite African nations. So he's saying, you Africans, what have you to do with me? Now read that.
Keep reading. And Zidon and all the coast of Palestine.
And all of those over there, you know, it's the so-called Palestinians over there. He said, Tyre, Zidon, and all the coast of Palestine. What do you have to do with me? Watch this.
Will ye recompense me? Swiftly and speedily I will return your recompense upon your own head.
So he said, whatever you do to me, I'm going to turn it upon your own head swiftly and speedily. Read.
Because ye have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried unto your temples my goodly, pleasant things. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians.
So he's saying, you Africans, you took all my gold and my treasures out of my temple, and then you took the 12 tribes of Israel and you sold them to the Grecians. So it wasn't us selling our own people into slavery. The so-called Africans sold the Israelites into slavery. That's what the history books don't tell you. The white man will tell you, oh, you sold yourself into slavery, so you look down on yourself. But the Bible tells you there was the other nations who sold us. Give me Exodus 11 and 7. The Bible tells us that the other nations sold us into slavery. And now I'm going to let you know, because a lot of our people think we're Egyptians. A lot of our people think, oh, we're all the same. You know what I'm saying? Israel is in Africa, but we're not Africans. That's what you got to realize. And this is what the Most High thinks about the so-called Africans. Watch this.
The book of Exodus, chapter 11, verse 7. But against the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue.
So he's saying against these people right here, shall not a dog move his tongue. So you might be thinking Lassie or Beethoven, one of those type of dogs. But he's going to let you know what dog he's talking about. What?
Against man or beast, that ye may know how that the Lord doth put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel.
So the dog that he's talking about right here is the Egyptians. The other nations are considered dogs. You know what I'm saying? And the thing about Christ, the whole Bible is about one nation of people. Like I told you, it's about you. It's about me. When you read this Bible, you're supposed to be able to see yourself in the scriptures because it's talking to you. That's why black people have always had the spiritualness, but we just had it in the wrong way. We didn't know who we are. When you read a book, if you don't know who the characters are, you're going to understand what's going on in the story. If you don't know who was what, or if you take the book and you start in the middle of the book, are you going to know? Are you going to get the perfect picture? That's why you got to read the whole Bible. Christianity says, oh, the Old Testament done away with, but without the Old Testament, the New Testament makes no sense. You start a new doctrine. You know what I'm saying? Give me Matthew 15:24, because that's one thing about, like I said, God chose us. That's the important thing about being an Israelite. God chose us above all people, right? But when you get to the New Testament, they say, oh, Christ came for everybody. Christ came to save everybody, right? That's what you've been taught in church, right? Watch this. This is what the Bible says about Christ. This is what Christ said out of his own mouth. Watch this.
The book of Matthew, chapter 15, verse 24. But he answered and said, I am not sent, but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
So out of his own mouth, Jesus Christ said, I am not sent, but for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. I'm only sent for you, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. I'm only sent for the lowly of the world. That's who Christ was sent for. And that's how we gotta walk. We gotta realize that the Most High chose us, you know what I'm saying? But we gotta keep his commandments, and that's what's gonna get us back into rulership, you know what I'm saying? Did you have any other questions you want to go?
I think you answered. I appreciate that. Y'all, hey, y'all doing good out here. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir. But before you leave, if I was to come up to ask you what's your nationality, what would you tell me?
I would say Judah.
Israelite from the tribe of Judah. All praises to the Most High. Oh, one more thing before you go. Give me 1 Corinthians 11. One more thing before you go. Next time you run across this, or we do got a school right down the street. If you want to join us, you can come check us out. You know what I'm saying? But one thing I'm going to have to teach you another teaching lesson just to see if you really are hearkening to what these scriptures are saying. Watch this.
The book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 11, verse 3. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ.
So the head of the man is Christ, right?
And the head of the woman is the man.
And the head of the woman is the man. So right now we got woman, man, Christ.
And the head of Christ is God.
God, Christ, man, woman, right? That's the order of things, right? Watch.
Every man praying or prophesying.
Praying or prophesying mean praying or reading out of this book. The scriptures are being brought out. That's the prophesying part. Watch this.
Having his head covered.
Having his head covered.
Dishonoreth his head.
So who's the head of the man again? Yes. It was God, Christ, man, woman, right? And he says, whosoever pray or prophesy with his head covered, dishonored his head, right? So if you're looking at you right now, is your head covered right now? And so when the scripture's coming out, all praises for repentance, you know what I'm saying? That means that you are sincere about what you're hearing. When the scriptures come out, the man is supposed to have his head uncovered, and then the woman is supposed to have her head covered. You know what I'm saying? What you got for me? Read it.
Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 12.
Okay, because now we've told you you're Israel, you know what I'm saying? We've told you what you got to do to get back to the top of the society. Now, God's going to tell you what is required of you. Now that you know that you're Israel, what's the next step? You know what I'm saying? Watch this.
And now, Israel, what doth the Lord thy God require of thee?
It's not what we require. This is what God requires, read.
But to fear the Lord thy God.
To fear the Lord thy God.
To walk in all his ways. And to love him.
So you got to walk in all of God's ways and love him, right? That's easy, right? How do you do that, though, read?
And to serve the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul. To keep the commandments of the Lord.
So the way that you serve the Lord and walk in his ways and show him that you love him is to keep the commandments of the Lord, read.
To keep the commandments of the Lord and his statutes, which I command thee this day.
And so that's what we got to do. Right now that you're learning that you are Israel, we have to get back to keeping the commandments of the Lord thy God that we are learning. Like I said, we have a school of learning in Lubbock now. You can come check us out, brother. Come learn. Come build yourself up. Learn how to keep the commandments. Learn how to walk, because the other thing about it, you can't keep the commandments if you don't read about them, if you don't learn about them.
We used to scream black power while heroin was pushed. But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission. Minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road. Purple and gold from Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are our men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.